Hello, loved ones, and welcome to the Sip and Chat, where we sip and we chat about various topics. Myself and my co host, Miss Nexie. Today, I wanted to talk with all of the loved ones about trauma healing. Actually, the inspiration behind this was actually um, called that. I was going to call this topic Healing Trauma Tools for Daily Practice, but I decided to change the title a little bit because I think that every single person has traumas in their life. I think every single person goes through traumatic events and they deal with traumas, you know? But are we coping in the best way possible? Are we dealing with the things that happen to us in a way that's going to bring about personal growth? And that's why I wanted to do this topic today about unleashing your inner healing because it starts on our inside, and some of the situations that happen to us in this life, it really messes us up, and we need to get something comforting, something soothing, something understanding, because unfortunately some things that happen to us is not our fault. And it's not, stop blaming yourself for things that happened to you, especially when it was an adult or somebody you trusted doing something traumatic, tragic, evil, twisted. Yeah, all of those things. But the most important thing is that we start working on some things as an adult, because I don't know about you all, but for myself, I went through some things in my life that was very traumatic, very dark, sinister, evil. And unless you allow yourself like to be self-honest, self-aware, it will affect you in every aspect of your life. It will affect your physical health. It will affect every relationship that you ever get in. It affects everything in our lives if we don't take control of what happened to us. And not that we can control what happened to us, but we have to work on ourselves so that we can be our happiest and so that we can be our absolute best self. And that's what I want for all of us. I want for us all to be our best and happiest self, because that's what we deserve. We all deserve happiness and we all deserve peace. But the whole thing about it is, how can we get peace in our life? How can we have joy in our life after going through it? Like literally, sometimes going through the ringer, going through so much situations. How can we have peace? How can we have joy? And that's what I want to talk about. Peace. How can we have joy? And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about with all of the loved ones on here. This channel is dedicated to trauma healing, talking about those hard conversations, things that happened to us in our childhood, things that were tragic, traumatic, like altering of our life. And it does alter our life when we go through some traumatic events in our life. It really does affect us. And one thing that I want to say to everybody is that you're not alone. Everything that you have been through in your life, sometimes you feel like you are all alone. You're the only one in it. And I want you all to know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay that you have had a past. It's okay that some things have happened to you. Not that it's okay, but I mean, like, even saying that to yourself, you don't have to be perfect. I think every single person has some issues. It's just that some people cope with their issues better than others. But it's important to have conversations just like this, okay? And I want to talk about some of these tools for our daily practice, because a healing journey from trauma is very personal. It's actually deeply personal. And I'm hoping that this live stream is going to offer some practical tools and techniques that you can implement into your daily life to support your emotional well-being, because when you go through something that is tragic, traumatic, life altering, it's tough, it's difficult, but I want you all to know that, you're not alone. You're not, and for you to not give up, keep on trying, keep on fighting, and keep taking care of yourself, because on this channel, Love Marlene 401, we really focus on being transparent with ourselves. Not that you're just going to empty yourself with everybody, but you need to learn how to empty, cut ties, cut cords, cut yourself off from things that is not supportive for your ultimate well-being and your happiness and your peace of mind. But it's difficult to get to the happiness and the peace of mind when all that is in your mind, all that you can think about is when this happened and when that happened and when this person did this and when this person abandoned me. So we want to talk about this, because when we speak about things, we release things from our mind, our bodies, and our spirits, and it frees us. I'm telling you that it's literal freedom when you unleash some of the things that was holding you captive. And it's like you put yourself in a cage sometimes and we have the key to getting ourselves out of these situations and restoring ourselves to that space that we deserve to be in. And that space is peace, it's joy, it's resiliency, it's all of those things. So I did want to say that first, because a lot of times we'll go through situations in our life, we'll go through some of those traumas, like I was talking about early on. And when you don't have support, especially if you grew up in toxicity, dysfunction, manipulation, abandonment, it's hard for you to be a trusting person, of being a trusting individual. But as adults, we can't make excuses. We have to put in the work into ourselves, because nobody is going to say something is important until we say it's important. You have to be the one to put your own oxygen mask on and start breathing again and healing and being your best self. And I'll tell you that when I started to work on myself and, take my power back, take my control back, take my power back, take my light back, everything shifted in my life. Absolutely everything. And I wanted to give a shout out to those who are in the audience live today. Hey, Oliver's Vlog TV Mix. How are you doing, Oliver's? Appreciate you being here. If you're new here, hit the like, subscribe to this channel. Me and my co-host, Miss Nexie, we do the Sipping Chats on Thursday between, I would say, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Somewhere around that time we go live, okay? And we also have Manifest Reality. How are you doing? Welcome. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're doing awesome. I hope everybody's doing amazing, loving themselves on today. So let's get into this a little bit deeper, shall we? Let's talk about how we can manifest the tools, how we can put our life in the space that it needs to be put in. And it first starts off by first accepting, accepting what happened to us. So, whatever happened to you, and it could be multiple things because many of us, multiple things happen to us in this life from the time you were a child to the age that you are right now. So much traumas, so much issues, so much negativity, so much heavy weight, so much things that we see that we wish we would not have seen. I don't know about y'all. Hey, realist, how are you doing? Welcome in. Shout out to my mods. Shout out to the channel members. Yes. Yes, I'm so happy for you to be here. Appreciate every single person's support. This topic is a really special one for me because I really think about who I would be like if it wasn't for trauma healing. I don't know that I would even be here. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Oh, I see my co-host Miss Nexie in the background. Let's welcome her to the sip and chat. Hello, Miss Nexie.
Hello, Miss Marlene. How are you?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you being here.
Well, you have no idea. Try to keep it on the quiet over here at home. Everybody's
Huh?
go.
Okay. It was cutting out for a second. Okay. I think you're back.
Am I back?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. Hello, everyone. Hello, Miss Marlene. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Miss Nexie. You know what? I got to start off by asking you, Miss Nexie.
Yes, miss. Yes, miss. Go on, go on, go on. I'll
Okay,
give you the
okay,
privilege to
okay.
do that.
So, what are you sipping on today?
I needed a coffee. I really needed a coffee today. So I made myself a cup of coffee, nice and quiet like, but then everything exploded around me. Everybody started playing music in the background. The TVs are loud. People outside are going like doing, mowing their lawn. It was a little crazy to start with, but I was making myself a nice cup of coffee to relax with all that caffeine. So that's what I ended up. I achieved that. I ended up making myself a good cup of coffee and locking my door and trying to quiet everything down around me.
And locking your door. That is key, Miss Nexie, to the sip and chat because you guys heard. I'm not gonna say which sip and chat that was, but you guys heard when some mystery person came in and said pizza.
At least they didn't have a walrus breathing on them when you were in the middle of the temperature. Like, so now I like it. And even if, Miss Marlene, I always try to get everything done beforehand so that I don't have to, take a little break or just give me 5 minutes. I hate doing that, but sometimes we have to. So I
Yeah.
tried everything, set them up, here it is. Everything is here, snacks, drink, water, whatever else you need, right? You don't need anything? No. Okay, cool. I'm going to be busy. Don't bother. Close the door, lock it. 5 minutes, the knock. And I'm like, open the door a little. Yes. You busy? I say, yes, I'm busy. I said, go to your room. You have everything there. 5 more minutes. Again, I'm like, oh my God. And I can sit in my room with the door locked with no interruptions when I'm not on the sleep and chat.
Oh, Miss Nexie, but that's because you know what my family says. The life of a content creator. They say when the door is locked, that annoys them, and they want to know
Yes.
what I'm doing, and they want my time.
Yeah, my kids say, mom, it's because you're on somebody else's um time. You're not really 100%, because if he doesn't hear me talking, or on the phone or anything like that, everything is cool, everything is quiet. The minute I log into a phone call, or I log into a meeting, that's when the focus is, oh, she's not just quiet thinking about me, she's actually dealing with other humans.
Yeah, you can't deal with nobody but me.
Yeah, exactly. So my son says, it's funny because you can be okay, quiet. Like, I have sometimes come into my room and start doing my work, and it's quiet. The minute I take a phone call, the door's open, the bathroom door is slammed, jumping up and down, running around the house. I get off the phone call, he goes and sits down again.
Oh
So
yeah,
I started to believe my son, my older son.
you guys probably heard last week was WW whatever wrestling.
Yes.
I heard, let's get ready to rumble.
You heard that? You too? You was
I heard it. I don't know if you guys heard. Nobody was laughing, but I had to mute myself and start laughing because it was hilarious to me. I was like,
I
OMG.
I I okay, you know what? Never mind that, Miss Marlene. Let's continue.
Yes, let's continue.
Oh,
Let's continue. Let's get on
this
to
is
it.
part of healing, by the way. This is part of healing.
Yeah, it's all part of healing. All of this is healing. So, Miss Nexty, today we're talking about unleashing our inner healing, and we're going to talk about some of the powerful tools for trauma healing. And one thing that Miss Nexty, I have to say before I go give you the floor, um, that it's okay to talk about what you've been through, and we don't have to hold it inside, because that's something that many of us were raised that way, or feel like we have to be tough. You feel like you have to be strong. We feel like nobody cares or understands, and it's not true. It's not true.
Hmm.
People
It's
do
yeah.
care, but it's the right people. I don't mean the toxic, narcissistic people that are bringing you pain and hurt. Those people don't care. But the people who may be coming later on to be your friend, or to be in a relationship with you, or to do business with you, need for you to fix yourself so that you can be your best self.
So true, Miss Marlene. And um trauma is unique to every single person that is going through or has gone through, right? Trauma is unique to me, to you, to whoever unfortunately has experienced some sort of trauma. But we all heal and deal with it completely different from one another. They can be similarities, but it's not going to be a one set of rules on how to deal with it, how to get it out of your system, how to cope with it, how to work on it. There's not just one formula, okay? We all go through it and get a hold of it in totally different ways. I'm the type of person that likes to talk about it. I like to talk. I like to, let you know, kind of like what I went through, and get it out of my system. Every time I talk about it, a little bit of more of my heart heals. A little bit more of my mind heals. A little bit more of my overall health and body, the look of my body. Everything heals for me every time I talk about what I went through, and my essay as a child, of probably 5 years old, till probably 11 or 12. So I when I talk to people, I heal, right? Different people get a different part of it because I trust people in different ways. Or you know what I mean? Like, I can discuss in full everything with my best friends. I will not be able to do that with someone I don't know, because I have rapport with my friends. I know them, they know me. With my best friends, we've been friends for a very long time, so we have that trust. But for me, the way I heal mine is by talking about it, by letting it out, even on the days that it's bothering me, the days that some images come back, and I call, or I write, or whatever it is that I do, or I text. Sometimes, if not in my journal, I text someone and that I trust and let them know. And that's how I work through my trauma. That is how I've healed it. But I have a friend, Miss Marlene, who best friend, in fact, who has gone through probably one of the worst cases of SA, and like us, he never got persecuted, right? It was just hush
Mhm.
hush because he's a prominent male in our family. So why are we gonna destroy his life? Um, she's probably gone to one of the worst. Her thing is um, silence. She's the type of person that needs to stay quiet in her moment. She will cry, which is a good way to get rid of it, right? And heal a little bit more. But her thing is more like crying and staying in her emotions. Sometimes she writes, but most of the time it's just her processing. Um, with just someone there. I sometimes there, just there to be there, just to hold her hand. But her thing is like she needs to cry it out because there's so much pain inside. But in the process of that, she is healing. So mine is different than hers. That doesn't mean we don't share the same kind of trauma, the same kind of need to do that. But we all process it differently. The point here is you have to process it, because if you don't, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to move forward. You're not going to become who you were supposed to be before that happened to you. You have to process it. You have to, one way or another, find out what it works for you, right? I have another friend who is all about meditation.
Yes.
She lights up her candles, and when she's going through that, she meditates. But in one way or another, you have to get it out. And then, whoever is with you, if you need someone, just so that the journey is not alone, find someone you can trust, right? So that you can go through it with that person, because you need someone there. I feel that you do. You need the one person that, it's going to help you. But the process is so different from because I'm a talk, you know what I mean, Miss Marlene? Like, I'm a talker. I like to talk. I have to express what I feel, or it stays in my head, and I go on and on and on my head, and it eats at me. So I'm the type of person that needs to, have dialogue. I need to discuss this with someone, even if that person is just there to say, yeah, yeah, I get it, but I need to let it out. But
Yes.
we all process it so differently, but with understanding and unconditional love from those people that we call best friends, which in reality they're probably closer sometimes to us than our own flesh and blood, right? We should be calling them the best family that I have.
Yes, and that's the thing, Miss Nexie, that is so important in talking about trauma. Like you said a little bit earlier, how important it is that we don't feel that we have to be like another person in how we deal with it,
Hmm.
because what you do, Miss Nexie, may not be what I do. It may not
Of
be
course.
what Oliver's or realist or everything is based on its personality, its support, and the biggest one in our trauma healing is acceptance. Because I remember being down that rabbit hole of, I knew it happened to me, but I didn't accept it. And you cannot have a release from that pain until you accept it, and you're honest with yourself. This is what happened to me. It's important to say that and not like lie to yourself, oh no, it didn't happen to me, or ignore it or whatever. You need to admit this is what happened to me. And then the next thing is saying to yourself with empowering words, I'm not going to let what happened to me break me.
Hmm.
Very important. It's very important to say that, because you'll feel that way, blaming yourself and maybe some of the things that people have done to you surrounding that. Like, when you get traumatized by something, and on top of that, were maybe somebody didn't listen to you, or somebody said you're lying, or other people just like, whatever, get over it, that's not a big deal. That causes another level to that pain. It's like pain on top of pain, and it builds even more.
Yes, exactly, Miss Marlene. And you just said something. When people don't believe you, they victimize you all over again. So if you haven't dealt with it, you go deeper into not dealing with it because you don't want to feel that shame again. Because when somebody says that, no, that's not true. I asked so and so, it never happened to you. That's victimizing that little one all over again. Because even though we are grown, we're still that little person. We haven't we haven't moved from there. We're still there. You know what I mean? Like I'm still that 5-year old, whose world got completely turned upside down. Even though I am a grown woman with children and everything, I am still there sometimes. So when they say, yeah, no, get over it, right? Move on, move on. I mean, it happened, it happened. Get over it, move on. Only someone that hasn't gone through it or probably hasn't worked through their traumas can say something that um, disrespectful, that hurtful to somebody else that is trying to work or trying to reach out to see if they can finally work on their trauma. Miss Marlene, and I'm going to go a little bit off topic here. I had not dealt with my trauma. I think I probably started in my healing process, as I started going through my college years, right? Probably my mid to late 20s, because in my type of where I grew up, it's taboo. You don't If it happens, you don't say it, right? You know it's happening. You know it happens to a lot of other girls or boys. You know that, it's happening around, and probably this person has done it to probably your friends as well, but you don't talk about it because the stigma, who's gonna want to marry you or who's gonna want you after that. Like, be careful, right? Like, don't mention it. We don't talk about things like that in this family. That is embedded in a lot of us when we come from, the countries that we're from. I'm from El Salvador, so it's kind of like, yeah, 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 that happens, but don't say it. I don't want to talk about it. Your parents, your aunties, you know what I mean? Like, they don't really want to deal with that. So I thought I was okay. Yeah, it happened to me. Yeah, it hurt me. Yeah, I carry this pain, this hurt, this everything in my, but I'm okay, right? I'm okay. You know what I mean? Like, I never thought of counseling. I never thought of, let me tell somebody. Let me see if somebody can tell me, you know what, that's not normal. Or what you're feeling is normal because, it happens to people that have been victimized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me that I was the type of person because I always felt this anxiety. I always had a lot of anxiety attacks. I didn't know why. And once I got into college, and then I was forced. I mean, I went through therapy, and I started working on myself, and I started understanding that anxiety, it was me trying not to let those thoughts come to me, that if anything triggers something in me from the past, I will get that anxiety attack and I couldn't breathe and I will get weird, but because it was my mind working so hard to suppress what just reminded me of that. So it took me many, many years in therapy to understand that that's what's happening. And until I understood that, I was able to control my anxiety. I'm not telling you it's gone because it's not. There are certain things that trigger it and I get that sensation, but I know how to work on it thanks, to the fact that I was able to understand that I needed it therapy, that I needed it to say to someone, this happened to me, and acknowledge that it happened to me for so many years, and that it wasn't my fault, right? So all those things, Miss Marlene, and the tools that I got from my therapist on how to deal with, if you feel this kind of way, what to do when you're feeling it, to kind of recognize when you're getting that anxiety, to work on accepting that what it was done to you was wrong, that it wasn't your fault, and forgiving yourself, because in a way you blame yourself for
Yes. Yeah. Miss Nexie, I can't tell you how many years I had trauma on top of my trauma because everybody was like, keep it a secret. Don't tell
it.
anybody.
Hmm.
It's nobody's business, and you feel like feel shameful because you want to talk about it. And when you're trying to do something to lift and ease that pain, that heavy weight you're carrying, you can't because people are telling you that it's wrong and it's not.
Hmm. Yeah, again, it's shaming the victim, not the victimizer. It's protecting the victimizer, not the victim, right? It's kind of how you feel. Oh, okay, so I got to protect him too, even though he hurt me. Or if it's a boy, I got to protect her if she hurt me, because there's cases in where young boys are abused by older women, right? That again is being kept a hush hush thing. A lot of boys uh, take it as a rite of passage. I take it as, no, you were abused. You know what I mean? Like, you were taken advantage of because you were a child, or you know what I mean, Miss Marlene? But I cannot say that to that person because I'm not their therapist, and they're not asking for that. But I'm thinking in my head, no, that wasn't a rite of passage. That was abuse. Once you start working on yourself, you start recognizing on others how twisted we are because of the ways our culture, because it's cultural, right? Our culture deals with it. Um, in mine is more like, okay, hush hush, keep it hush, because the last thing you want is not be able to get married, because I've heard this, not for me, I've heard this being told to somebody else. The last thing you want is him thinking that you're no longer pure for marriage. Like,
Mm.
what? So I'm
Oh,
impure too because somebody did this. I'm impure. So you start getting those things in your head. They're being said to somebody else, but because you've gone through the same thing, now you get that. Oh my God! So I'm impure. So I gotta accept whoever likes me or wants me because I'm impure, right? And that's when abusive relationships. So there's a cycle, Miss Marlene, that comes from not dealing with your trauma.
yes. Yeah, it's a terrible thing, Miss Nexie, to be in that situation where the things that you need to help you is not helping you because of the people around you are bringing in more pain, more trauma, more dysfunction. They're making it worse, and it's supposed to, if you have the right people around you, even though it's not going to change what happened to you, but it helps to lift it. It helps to calm your nerve. It helps to support you, whatever you need during that time. So I wanted to say that, and I wanted to start talking about some of the things that can help us to get the right tools to help us with our healing journey, because that's what this really is about, talking
Mm-hmm.
about healing our wounds, because you cannot remove the trauma, but you
Mm-mm.
can heal like how you deal with it by having the right tools.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So I wanted to first off say that when we talk about trauma and understanding trauma, it's important to say this, that trauma is not your fault.
Mm-hmm.
So don't blame yourself because of something that a relative. So you most of the time trauma things that are traumatic that happen to us is when someone that we are close to violates us. It's, of course, sometimes it's somebody we don't know, a stranger, but for the most part, most traumatic things that happen to us in our upbringing and in our lives are people that are supposed to be the ones that we should be able to trust and should be closest to, and they break trust and do things to us.
Yeah, people that are supposed to love and protect us, not
Mhm.
love, not damage us, not hurt us. They're supposed to be our protectors. And I think that that's another layer of right of that betrayal we feel. So go on, Miss Marlene, go on.
Yes, that's a very heavy layer, is understanding that part that it's not our fault. That's very important to start there by saying that it's not our fault. When we get traumatized, when we have people in our life and we let them in and we trust them and we think that they love us and care about us, but some people unfortunately are predators, sick, twisted, disgusting, have anger issues. And I've heard people say before, because I was traumatized when I was a child, I can't help this. I can't
Mm,
stop this. It happened to me, so I have to do this because this is all I know.
mm-hmm.
That, and it
Yep.
does not work that way, Miss Nexie, because I can say, as a person that has been through multiple types of trauma, and one of the ones I want to talk about right now is when you have a traumatic upbringing, like as a child. I know they usually talk about DV when it comes to, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, that type. But I mean, growing up and being severely physically assaulted by other adults,
Mm,
when things like that happen to you growing up, it took me a long time to, like, even when people are being nice, like just somebody touching you,
mm,
or to one just doing something nice, kind, or sweet, or and they just touch you, it's like triggers you back, like, what, don't hit me.
mm,
And it's like you, in that instant, you go from being whatever age you are in that moment to being whenever you were violated way back when.
mm. You know, a lot of people don't understand too, Miss Marlene, and I get very upset. Um, we grew up again. You and I have similar backgrounds because our Caribbean backgrounds are very similar. I talk to you, and every time I talk to you, it's like I'm back home. That's how people deal back then with it too. It's the same thing. Like we kind of, our family, our grandparents, great grandparents, whatever, they kind of have the same way of of rearing children, right? But the one thing I never understood growing up. I grew up just with my father, right? I was 5 when I didn't have a mom anymore, so my dad was mom and dad. So the dynamic was different. I didn't have the mother figure, but I had my dad and my sisters who were my moms because I'm the youngest. But the one thing that I always saw on others' families, not on mine, again, because I guess it was different. The fact that this is done in the early, late 60s, early 70s, when you're supposed to have mom and dad, and my family was, you know, uh, a single parent household kind of thing, and it was frowned upon. Like a lot of people didn't like the fact that we didn't have a mom, so they will kind of like dissuade their children from you know become friends with us because we only had a dad and not a mom. It's something dumb, but anyway. But what I didn't like when I used to see my friends, and and sometimes, my family, my extended family, is that parents wanted every child to behave the same way. Miss Marlene, and stop
Ooh,
me if
Miss
I'm saying
Maxie,
anything wrong.
you
I'm
just
sorry.
said a mouthful. Miss
I'm sorry. I
Maxie.
have to.
Ooh,
It, it,
I have to turn my camera on and y'all see my pigtails.
don't.
My pigtails.
Oh my Lord.
I'm not afraid. It won't grow up.
You
My
see, it doesn't
pigtails.
want to expose you with your picture
I
of
have
Miss
to expose my
Marlene.
pigtails on that one with
Did they get out? Did they get out? Because I
girl.
see them up like, whoa.
Because Miss Lexi, let me tell you, that used to be my whole life. And I know that I'm about to hit a trigger with somebody. So trigger warning.
Yeah,
When
trigger
your
warning.
when your parent, when your guardian says, why can't you be like X, Y, and Z?
Or Miss Marlene, and again, we're going through this, the steps, right? But or, you know, so and so doesn't need so much attention. Why do you need so much attention? And they guilt you and they shame you for wanting that attention and not, and then you start feeling like you don't fit into that family because you're so different from everybody else, when in reality they probably needed the same attention, but they understood early on that they were not going to get it from them. So I will see my friends, sometimes my cousins and my aunties talking with, the adults, and you'll be running around, passing around or whatever, and you will hear them like, oh my God, what's wrong, what do you want now? Look at your so and so, your cousin or your sister over there sitting down. Why are you here? Oh, this kid, he's so needy. And they shame you in front of others. And they
Yes.
make you feel like there's something wrong with you. And that happens very, very young. So for me, I was a very, like, kind of like, I guess, a little bit ahead of my years because of what happened to me, right? With, my parents splitting up and stuff like that. Even though I didn't know what that meant, I knew that our family was different from everybody else's family, at least to that point. As I got older, there was a lot more separations, divorces, blah blah, a lot of more, a one parent household type of thing. But when I was younger, it wasn't that common, so it was kind of different. But I will see that, and I will think like, I don't, in my house, I don't get that. Like, I don't. People don't tell me that. Like, I will feel weird because I will hear my aunties or my uncles or whatever, and my dad, like if I would ever come close to him and he will hug, and then my aunts or uncles will say, "Oh my gosh, she's probably so needy because, she's so young and your wife left, and that's probably why she needs so much attention." And my dad said, "No, she needs attention because she's my child."
Yeah,
And
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 my
my dad will cut him off. I don't think my dad knew or ever understood how that lifted me in a weird way because he didn't reject me, right? So I always felt protected with my father and my siblings because if anybody ever said anything about me, my siblings would jump on. Like, she's the baby. What's wrong? You're not the one taking care of her, so why do you care? So I always was protected in that way. And my father never made that, why do you need this? My father was always available for us. So for
Mm.
me, it was kind of weird, Miss Marlene, to hear these things. And I sometimes will ask my sister, why is she saying that? She'll be like, why are you listening to somebody else's conversation? Go play. Don't be an eavesdropper. That's not nice. You're disrespecting their conversation. Or go play. This is for grown-ups. And I'll be like, okay, but they're talking loud and I can hear them. So if they're for grown-up, why can't they just whisper to each other? Okay, I had a problem with following directions. Not the point.
Lexi,
But it always
you're
bothered me.
definitely not the you're definitely not the older one because I used to be that child that would be, you know how you would be listening, but you couldn't be caught listening. So I would be right in earshot, and my parents would be, and I'd be like, "That is not how it went. I was there, and I saw, and I was like having my own conversation with myself." And they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Nothing." I would just sit there and dissect the conversation and tell her, "Mm-mm, no, it wasn't.
It,
She was not.
it,
I saw her." And
you're like, my mom is lying, so she lies. No,
yeah,
and again, Miss Marlene, it's something that people don't like. I never understood, and I always, as I got older, I criticized that why are you comparing her to her? They're two different people, two different heads, two different minds.
yes,
Like, why are you doing that? And what that creates in siblings of the same family is that creates a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of rivalries. Oh, I'm better than you because that person starts feeling that she's the best, right, of the family because she's the firstborn and she was the best behaved and this is that.
yes,
And it starts creating distance and discord between the siblings. Instead of uniting them, it kind of makes them go against each other because, oh yeah, you're the favorite, so I guess I have to look like you, whatever. So it creates resentment as well. I never understood that.
yeah,
As I got older and I started processing, what had happened to me, I started processing my upbringing because I feel that my upbringing was beautiful, regardless of all the other trauma that happened in my life. I felt that it was really cool. I grew up playing outdoors. I climbed on the highest tree. I fell from the highest ones as well. And God, don't let me, I got the scars to prove it. But, I did all of that because it was very kind of like free. Where I grew up, it was nice. It was a lot of greenery. We ran around, we played all day, and only came back when the street lights were on. And when I heard dinner, oh shoot, my sister, dinner. So we will only go back then. But there was a lot of freedom in that sense, but there was a lot of neglect at the same time, for the children in the house, and a lot of verbal abuse, physical abuse. Yeah, it's there, but there was a lot of other things going on that I didn't understand
yes,
until I got older and started processing my traumas and the reason why I thought this way about this or why I felt this other way, because you can go back in time as you're going through therapy and find out the root cause of why sometimes, right, you feel this way, or
yeah,
why does that word triggers you? Why? And then you kind of do like a soul search and you find out, oh, because I used to hear it here. That's why it bothers me so much.
yes,
So that's the one thing I can tell you, Miss Marlene, that I had to process out of, and not make the same mistake with my children, comparing them to one another. I never did that.
you
You
know when
know, it,
when you say that, Miss Nexie, um, I see a comment here in the chat from Manifest Reality, and she says at times it. I think she's saying at times when you have an older sibling because you're many years apart, it's like you're the only child. Um,
yes, that's
and
how I felt.
I can say that like being the youngest and having when my oldest sibling when I was born, my oldest sibling was already married, so that will tell you something about age differences. um
Yeah.
I and it was like they would always feel like, how can I say, oh, this is how I want to say it. They felt like my parents were the parent that they had. The mom and dad they had was not the mom and dad I got.
Hmm. Yeah.
because the thing about when you get the you're the last child, you get the older parents. When
Hmm.
they had the parent that took them out, play ball, go here, go there. I had the parent that was a grandparent.
And that they were tired of
And
taking them out to
they were
play and they
tired,
tired of
and
work.
Miss Nexie, and I was a lot.
I don't believe that. I feel that you were just, just a little munchkin with the most beautiful, obedient little soul.
Well, as my my siblings used to say that I looked just like, what's that, on the, what's that, Star Wars, and had the really big eyes, and he's green. That's what they used to call me. I can't think of the term,
That's
the
so
name
weird.
of him right
I
now,
heard,
but they said
I
that
can't
was
remember.
me because I was all eyes and my ears poked out.
Oh,
So
I forgot his name, and I'm a Star Wars
yeah, I forgot the
nerd.
name, but
Oh my
that's, yeah, yeah,
Oh
you
God!
know what I'm
Now you
talking
got me. I
about.
gotta stop thinking. Yes, I know who it is because I'm a Star Wars
Yeah.
uh, nerd.
So the thing about that is people don't understand. They feel like the experience that they have, or the parent, auntie, grandparent, whoever the person is, just because you have a good experience with that person, it doesn't mean that you will have that experience with them. Because I,
Exactly, and I feel that again, dealing with it, you have to find people cannot heal you, right, Miss Marlene? You have to do this yourself. Now, how you going to do it? It cannot be dictated by a therapist or anyone. It has to be. It's an individual type of choice that you make. The tools are there, and there's many. What works for you is what you have to figure out, which is why I think that a lot of times people say, no, therapy doesn't work for me. Oh, no, God, it didn't do anything. Oh, my God, no, it was just all these other things that were, it didn't do because it's a lot of work. It's hard work. It's looking at you through like a lens of I don't that you don't
rose
want to see
colored
yourself in.
glasses.
Yes. You have to literally bare your soul and leave it out there for the world to see, your therapist to see. And you have to dig in and find out your faults too, which is something that not many, I mean, as perfect as I am, I haven't been able to find any faults on me. But the people that have found
Mhm.
faults in them, oh, I just hear, I can see the face too, and the little pigtails up again. Like, she's perfect.
Yeah. I was like,
There she goes again with her delusions. Um, you're like, have you ever taken care of those delusions, Miss Nixie? No, so you have to research deep in you and see what works because when and this is my opinion, Miss Marlene. It's not yours. It's not any therapist. I'm not a therapist, right? But I feel that when people say therapy didn't work for me, it's because they haven't found the right type or they don't want to do the work. Because
yes,
therapy is not just the one that you're gonna go sit down on a couch and, and just talk. No, that's not. Therapy is there's so many ways that you can get therapy. And I feel that people like they have that they say it didn't work for me. Oh my God, they'll go. It doesn't do anything, and probably discourage someone that can actually benefit
benefits.
because it's
Yes,
gonna go through with the whole thing. They discourage them, and they continue to stay afflicted because they haven't been able to. Again, it's something that is unique to everyone, right?
yes, Miss
I'm
Nexie.
not gonna the therapy that Miss Marlene had took and has had and everything that she's worked. It's not gonna work for me because I think differently, I act differently, and I work in myself differently. So we are all unique in that way. Now, for me, I had to dig really deep into my childhood traumas to avoid inflicting those in my children, Miss Marlene. And you know how that is. You have children,
Yes,
you have to take care of them and protect them. So the fact that you with your therapist, you have worked so hard not to do the same hurt, the same damage to them that you were that was inflicted upon you when you were growing up. That was my biggest fear, Miss Marlene, growing up. If I have children, what kind of a mother am I going to be? I always knew I wanted it, kids, but I was afraid that I was not going to be a good mother because I had no mother kind of, role model. My sister was my mom because, she took care of me since I was born, since birth. You know how parents are. Okay, I had a kid here. You're the oldest.
yes,
You take care of them. So my sister was my mom, and she is my mom. She's my first mom, and my second mom is the one that gave birth to me. But my first mom is my sister. There was a lot of role modeling from her, but in your mind and in your gut, you say she's not my mom. Like, she didn't give birth to me. Am I gonna get the other person's way? So I was very traumatized on that, and this is before therapy. So that was my biggest fear, and it's why, as I was going through therapy, I knew very early on that there was a lot of things that if I didn't take care of them, I was gonna pass them on to my children.
Yes, Miss Nexie, and that's one of the things that you have to honestly. It's a thing that I hear people say all the time. Therapy doesn't work. Therapy is a scam. Everything that all of the tools, all of the tips has to be given to a person who is open, honest, and ready to make changes. See,
Mhm.
I went to therapy the first time when I was a teenager. Like, I wasn't even out of school yet, but I needed
Yeah,
it
me
because of
too.
something that I was going through. But that therapy didn't help me because I was only going because I was forced to go, because it was the state got involved.
Mandatory. It was
Yeah, it was
mandatory.
mandatory. So it was like, okay, I'm here. Like,
Hey, you're a teenager.
yeah,
Okay. I went through it as well when I was a teenager, and I just sat there too. Like, my sister, she tells me now, she's like, I remember I took you a few times, and you wouldn't say anything. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't answer, you wouldn't say, you wouldn't. And I remember the trauma of going to a therapist. I thought I was sick, Miss Marlene, because when you're too young and you don't understand what that is for, again, you're already victimized. Taking you to someone else to see what's going on, you again go back to that victim. Like, I'm gonna, no, I'm climbing up. I'm not gonna say anything. And I wouldn't work with her. So they didn't take me back because they felt like, there was, money was tight to begin with, and those things, therapy everywhere you have to pay for, and
expensive. Yeah.
especially in our countries. And my sister's like, I didn't have that much, so I had to stop because you wouldn't cooperate. And I'm thinking, I didn't know what that was. For me, that was just another adult
Miss
trying to
Miss
rule me.
Nexie, Miss Nexie, but also being a person who went to therapy when I was younger, they don't tell you what it's for. You know, they're just like, you're going to therapy, and it's like, there's no explanation. We want to put you in therapy because we love you, because of what you have dealt with, because we want you to be happy and better. There was no conversation like that. It was like, okay, go ahead, get out the car, go into therapy. And it's like, oh, it's like
Yeah, and you see doctors, so you
everything
think that you're
around you is
sick,
like, ah, it's like so
and you think you're sick in
frustrating.
the head, right? A doctor for
Yeah,
the
it's
mind. So I'm sick in the head. There's something wrong with my.
yeah, it's like what the people who are telling you to go to therapy are doing it because they have to. It's like an attitude. Okay, go to therapy, get better. And it's
And
like,
as a
no,
teenager, fine, I won't. Since you're telling me to get better, I
yeah.
won't.
I was like, get better? I don't have time to get better. Teenager things to do, like sit in the corner and stare in space.
And look at cute boys.
Yeah, that's that's a lot of time involved.
Yeah, that's a
Very
giving, yeah. But yeah. Okay, our next tool, Miss Marlene. Come
yes.
on, come on. Let's do the
Yeah.
next one.
Yes. So I want to highlight what Manifest Reality says, because she was talking about how she is the oldest cousin, sibling on her mother's side, and it's so much responsibility. and
Yes.
she's had to let it go because she realized she had to let it go because now that she has her own children and they need her attention. And I understand that manifest reality. I am not the oldest child, but I understand about responsibilities being given to you that you have not asked for. And it's like, I got my own life right now. You can't just drop everybody's problems because you're having problems. I'll help you when I can, but no.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that's one of the
As the
things. So,
adult, for her as an adult, the firstborn and probably the oldest cousin or whatever, it's totally different than the last children, like you and I, than the last
yes.
child, right? They have had to be babysitters. They had to be moms, even younger than probably sometimes 10 years old, as young as 10 years old, or probably younger. They have had to mother the other children because, hey, mind your sister, keep an eye on her. And you're like, my sister had to be a mom since she was very little because she was the oldest. And my mom, I think back then worked from home, right? Like she had she sold like milk and she made cheese and stuff like that. So my sister was the one helping her with the work at the house, like clean, she had a little stool to be able to cook for the family since she was like 7 years old, 8 years old. A little stool to wash the dishes and the clothes. My mom was busy in the business, and then my sister had to take care of everybody else that was being born in the process of my mom and my dad. You know what I mean? Like by the time I came to this world and this perfection arrived, and you haven't seen my air quotations, but they're there, Miss Marlene. And your ponytails can stay down this time because I am perfect.
Miss Lexi, one of my ponytails just, it's
Put
like an
those
antenna. It
ponytails
just
down. Tell them to go down because they know I'm perfect. So
one
this
ponytail
perfection,
went straight when you said that. It was like, what?
no, you know what he did? Your ponytail, I just saw it. It did a question mark. Really? It did a question mark. And then it did an exclamation. The other one did an exclamation one, and this one a question. And then your
Yeah,
forehead, your third eye did like the side eye. Really?
yes, Miss Lexi. It is.
I
It
saw
definitely.
everything on you.
Yes.
By the time I arrived, my sister was 16 or 17 years old. No, 16 because my sister married at 17. So my sister had already raised all of the other kids. It's six of us, right, all together. So she had already had the four kids. My last between my last brother and I is like 6 or 7 years apart. So my sister was a mom to all of us. So when my mom left, and which is probably why Miss Marlene, and I said to you before when I went to therapy, I told them, oh yeah, she left, but it doesn't matter. I'm okay. Because in my head, since I didn't have that much time with her, even though I was 5, because it was my sister, the one that was always with me. She was the one changing me, basing me. Besides my mom just probably feeding me, my sister was my caregiver. So when my mom left, the void wasn't really there because I couldn't miss something that I haven't had. But I didn't understand how it affected me, the fact that she was really never there.
Yeah.
Of
So
course, it
Miss
didn't
Nexi,
affect me.
so Miss Nexi, even though you didn't know that at the time, but you still had some abandonment issues that a lot of people have to deal with when it comes to trauma.
Yes, no, because when I walked in there, I told the therapist, "Oh no, yeah, she left. It's no big deal. Let's talk about something else." And he started writing. You know that little writing. I said, "What are you doing? Let's
Yeah.
skip on that." Yeah, she wasn't there. She really didn't raise me, but I'm okay. I
Yeah.
dealt with it. I'm okay. I didn't really need her.
Yep. When they're writing and it's like smoke is coming out of the pen.
Yeah, you know when they do when you say things like that and they just look at you through their glasses, like they lift their eyes, like okay, go on. So I had to, yeah, I had already dealt, I had already, I didn't know, Miss Marlene, that that was the biggest fear, that abandonment, right? That abandonment issue. And the thing is that it wasn't because I was clinging to people that they would, so they wouldn't leave me, or I was trying to make so many friends. Or no, it was the opposite. I wasn't really getting close to anyone, including my husband.
Yes, it started to project all of your fears, all your insecurities, all the abandonment projects, and it lays dormant until the opportunity, until one day you're like, don't leave me.
Yeah,
If you're
no, for
feeling,
me it was like,
where are you going?
no, yeah, for me it was more like, also we're no longer friends. Okay, whatever. Even though we had been friends for years, for me it was like, okay, big deal. And I started noticing as I took therapy, right? As I started going into to my psyche, I started realizing that what I was doing is always keeping people at arm's length. I'm not gonna love this person too much because if she goes, I don't want to feel what I felt growing up. I
Yes.
didn't know that that's what I was doing.
You
So
were
I had to
self-protecting.
find, yeah, self-protecting big time. So I had to, with the tools that the therapist gave me, I have to find a way to come to terms with the fact that what I was most fearful of in this entire world was the abandonment, the pain that that left in me, in my subconscious, even though I didn't know that that's what it was. So even my husband, I love him, but in the beginning I loved him. We got married, but it wasn't something that I will look at him and say, "Oh my God, if I lose him, what's going to happen to me?" Right? I will lose half of my heart. I will never think like that. It will be like if I lose him, you know what? Yeah, it will hurt, but I'll get over it. And my therapist is like, that's not. There's no. You can't live like that. Like you have to work on that because listen to what you're saying. But to me, it wasn't a big deal. Okay, what's the big deal? Yeah, he goes. I miss him. I love him, but I have to get over it. And he would look at me like, okay. So I worked on that. I started working on trusting people. I have best friends that I've been best friends with. Well, I only have that one best friend because I don't want to end up in somebody's trunk. But I only have, a handful of friends that I've been very best friends with for like 20, 30 years. They know me at my worst. They've seen me at my best, and they've seen me at my the most unbelievable time of my life. That's not you, is it? So they know me, and I've been able to keep those friendships with no reservations. I've been able to be me, but that's only after therapy. It wasn't before therapy.
Yes, yes, Miss Nexie. I can agree with everything that you say. Like, until you deal with things like, and people will say, I don't get into those things, but people say certain things about people's astrology sign and things like that, and that's the reason why you're so cold and all of these things. It has nothing to do with that, Miss Nexie. To be honest with you, it has nothing to do with what somebody, what another person is saying. That has everything to do with what you went through and what you dealt with, and you are doing things like you said to protect yourself from pain, you know.
Mhm. And again, there's different ways that you can deal with it. But the point that I guess we're trying to say is that you have to deal with it. As uncomfortable, as painful, as weird as it's going to be, you have to deal with it in order for you to heal.
Yes. And hey Gio, how are you doing? Welcome. um
Hey,
that's
Miss Gio.
that's one of the things, Miss Nexie, though, about trauma and stuff that is so hard, is that we don't want to. I don't know anybody who has been through trauma, painful, difficulty, hard things that actually wants to face it. Nobody wants to face those skeletons in the closet. That's the reason why they're in the closet. But if you want to be your best self, your most positive self, I feel like everybody could be on a higher frequency if you would allow yourself to say, you know what, this happened to me, it was messed up, but I want to work on me so that I don't give my trauma, my anxiety, my jealousy, my abandonment, because we do get those things whether we want to admit it or not. We get things every time something traumatic happens to us. Some we do something to protect ourselves, isolate ourselves, try to deal with something on our own, get angry, pick up a vice to cover up a void or a pain or whatever. But we do things to try to deal with it. But the best way to deal with it is to face it. And if you have to cry, if you have to scream, if you got to do all of those things, you get yourself in therapy, do what you need to do, because nobody deserves to stay in a space of being angry for the rest of their life. And I know that it could have been me, and it could have been you too, and anybody who has had therapy. I know you and myself, and I know Boss Life Online. I can't speak for anybody else who's in the chat. We've all gone through therapy, and I can say for me, I'm only speaking for myself. I know that if I didn't go to therapy, I wouldn't be alive today. I know that. But
Yeah,
I
thank God
also
for
was
that.
but I also was in a space, Miss Nexie, of being sick and tired of being angry, sad, upset, being out of control, but I didn't have the tools. And
Hmm.
one thing that I want to say is, I don't really bring spirituality over here that often, but when I do, I have to say this. Sometimes people will just say things like, just pray about it. Pray
Hmm.
pray over it. God will help you. God will remove it. And don't get me wrong, Miss Nexie, those things, having a spiritual connection, it is a helper, but
Yes.
it doesn't do anything. I believe, my personal belief is that you have to have a combination of things to help you to get through those traumas. It's a
Yeah.
combination. It was for me. I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it was therapy, it was maturity, good friends, support, and therapy. That combination has been effective in making me be the person that I am today.
Yeah. For me, the same thing is, the therapy, um, great relationship with my family, my sisters, my dad, my great relationship with my friends, my best friends, and my church. But that's the thing, though. A lot of people, when they say just pray over it, I know God is going to make it go away, or God is going to help you. God made therapists for a reason. And if there is someone that can help you, and in prayer too, you can get that out. Be grateful that you're going to therapy, or be grateful that, or say, you know what, show me the way to do this, to get the help I need. Prayer does help when you are at your wits end, because it has helped me. But at the same time, I already had my therapist, right? And I always prayed as I was younger. I would always pray for a way out of the misery I was feeling in my head, and that I have never suffered with anger issues, because I've never had. Like, I've always been a someone that thinks before she speaks, even in the midst of an argument. I'm always quiet, and if the person is going crazy, I just stay quiet, because like I have to think about what I'm gonna say, not because I cannot. Probably in a moment of rage, probably I could have defended myself, but I'm like, I want to say something meaningful once you're done. But I have always had a very strong connection with with my church, but I will always go through that, like pray and say, please guide me. There has to be a way for me to do this, like get rid of all these problems in my head, or all these inabilities to move forward because those thoughts keep on popping. Like, how can I get? So I will pray for guidance, to see how I can help myself. And a lot of times, and I've seen this in some churches, is they have tools like that. They have people that can help you, therapists, probably from the same congregation, but they have degrees on this type of things. And I've heard too pastors and priests and whatever recommend those things. If that's what you need, go. It's always something good for you. Talking to somebody else about this is also good. Someone that can help you. So a prayer for me has worked in a way as guidance. And sometimes when I'm like tired or whatever, and a prayer gets me going, right? But I don't include that in the just therapy. It's going. I mean, just prayer is going to be everything you need, because sometimes there's imbalances, right? So there has to be more than just that. And that's not minimizing the effect that your faith has on who you are and how you go in life. That's not minimizing that. I'm just saying that sometimes there's other, you know illnesses or whatever it is that you have, that you need to deal with it, not just through prayer but through medication. That's why sometimes it's not good, right, to say just that is going to do it for you. It's not good to say that, because some people need a little bit more than that, and that's why there's doctors and everything for those things. I don't know,
Yes.
I went over.
Yeah, Miss Nexie, I agree. I agree with you. Everything that we share and the things that we talk about, me and Miss Nexie, we're not therapists, we're not psychiatrists. I am a life coach, but me and Miss Nexie, we talk freely about the things that we have dealt with,
Hmm.
and we talk about the things that has helped us to be able to sustain ourselves from something that could have I'll just say it in raw terms, in terms of where we wouldn't be here and we
Yes.
could have unalived ourselves
Hmm.
because of the heavy weight of it. So I know that a lot of people get to that space to where they say, this is too much. I can't. And that is when you need something, someone, or something to strive for, something to give you hope again. And I'm just speaking for myself right now. If it wasn't for I feel like they all went together, because when I went and I got therapy helped me to change my mindset, and in changing my mindset, I was able to learn how to be a good friend to myself, and then I learned how to be a good friend. It taught me to be responsible, so it did a lot of good things for me, not just the trauma, but it taught me to not be selfish. It taught me to be compassionate and understanding of other people,
Hmm.
and for it to not just be about me.
Yeah. Again, different things for different minds, different traumas, different everything. But you're right, Miss Marlene. Our experiences is what we talk about. Our experiences is what we're saying. This is what I had to do, or this is how I dealt with that, or this is what was happening to me and I had no idea of. Now, again, we work different ways for different people. We cannot speak about that because we haven't, um, the people that we've met, we haven't had the right to say anything how that worked for them. It would be nice for them to come on and speak about what worked for them. But what has worked for us and has made us who we are today, um, sane mind and sane um, outlook in life. And I mean saying because sometimes, you're so into your head that, and I don't know if anybody has felt this, but sometimes there's so many things going on with you if before therapy. For me, I'm going to speak about me, Miss Marlene. There's so many things going on with you, family problems, money problems, all the things in your head that you haven't worked on, that pain in your heart that you haven't worked on, that sometimes you see a bus driving super fast and you say, God, if I could only just throw myself in front of that. Even if it's just the thought of the moment, you're so caught up, you're so worked up, you're so tired of feeling the way that you do, that those thoughts do come to mind sometimes, right? Like, God, if I just did that, everything will be over with. You don't say because you're going to do it. You just say because you need the help that you and I, thank God, have gotten. To the point of now that we know how to deal with the worst of things. Because I have had dealt some hands that I'm thinking, if I would have not had therapy, if I would have not been who I am today, I don't think I would have been able to deal with that hand in the way that I did, that I've done, right? So those are the things that
Right.
once you get older and you analyze everything that you have achieved by working on yourself, how you react to certain things, how you react to the fact of life, right? To what life gives you. Life is unfair and it's hard. It's really, really hard living here, in this world. But when you once you react in the way that you do, with positivity and problem solving techniques, and not let it break you. Once you do that is when you say, oh my God, I'm healed. Look at the way I'm handling this. I have achieved what I always wanted it. I've healed myself and I can deal with this task, as painful as it is, in the best way that I can because I have the right state of mind.
Exactly. And that is the whole thing. And I'm glad that you said that, Miss Nexie, because most of the time people think when you go through therapy, like it's good, it's not going to make you perfect. It's not something like you wave a wand and now because of this and this advice and this tools that you're going to be better. You're only going to be as good as you allow yourself to be. You're only going to be as good as you allow yourself to forgive and to heal and to use the tools and to take the steps and to do what you're supposed to do. And I know that that is the case for me. And I know that even after getting therapy, it still took me a long time because I still didn't want to release certain things. I still wanted to hold on to things. I still was trying to fix people and make people be what I wanted them to be. And I don't know what it is about when you finally go through therapy, when you get fixed and we know how happy we are, Miss Nexie, now that we have
Hmm.
got that burden off our back and we have the tools and experience peace. It's like, why doesn't everybody want this? I don't understand. Like, I couldn't ever go backwards to who I was 9 years ago when I was wanting to unalive myself. Like, really? I was like, I don't understand, but I do get that some people it's just not affordable. Some people have different situations. Some people just are not a person that wants therapy. But the most important thing about trauma healing is for you to be making steps to give yourself freedom.
Hmm.
And another one of these powerful tools in trauma recovery is journaling. And a lot of people don't understand how important journaling is in in releasing. It's I don't know who has ever journaled, But when I journal and I write things down, sometimes you'll be in the zone and writing stuff because it's like the connection from your brain to the pen, and you're just writing stuff. And I write stuff like, "What? I thought I was over that. Like we're still dealing with that, okay?" Or something surprises you, and you're like, "Okay, wow, all right. So
Yeah.
do about this."
Or Miss Marlene, you see that certain, aunt or uncle, and you didn't slap them. You're like, oh, I have healed. You had the urge to slap them at least a couple of times, knock them over the head, or you're like, oh, I've healed. I can actually say hi to you without just wanting to barf all over you.
Yeah, yeah, that is true, Miss Sexy. That's how you know when you've become healed and you've become a better person, when you get put in situations that you would have got put in before, and your reaction is completely different. Like I've said it before, Miss Nexie knows, Geo knows this about me too, but I've been in that situation where I was such an angry, I mean, angry person, Miss Nexie. I used to act a fool. I used to embarrass my family. I used to embarrass my friends, anybody around me, because I didn't have control over myself. I was
You were
always in a
angry.
fight. I was always in a fight with somebody, but it was not yeah, sometimes some things that somebody did was wrong, and I may have been justifiably angered, but the majority of the time it wasn't. Like
Mm,
I was venting all my pent up anger on the inside because I didn't know where to put this pain. Like
mm-hmm.
know where to put this pain. So the easiest thing for me, I was like, I'm just sock them in their eye or their throat or their,
Yeah,
just
bite them.
that. And it did make me feel better, Miss Bessie. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I used to hit people, it made me feel
And for me is, I found my voice, right? Because before, no matter what, I would just go with the flow. I wouldn't, say anything. I would just say, yes, of course, no problem. Even if I was like, oh my God, I had other plans, but I guess, I have to do this because they're family, right? Or, that's a friend of a friend, or that's the son of my friend. I have to. And so I always, the yes person, I was always that person helping everybody in the world. And I'm not saying that I don't do that. Yes, I do. But now through therapy and everything, I have been able to place it in the right place, put it in the right place, place that um, complicit type of behavior to do good for the people that really need it, right? Not just say yes because I feel guilty saying no to my family or to my best friend so and so. I have been able to say no, not doing it or want to, and not feel guilty and not feel horrible about myself and not say, oh my God, what kind of a person am I? I could do it. Why did I say no? Like, I'm not doing anything right now, even though I wanted to take the day off and relax. I could have just done that, like, and so I have been able to work on myself enough to say, you know what, today is my day off. I wanted to stay at home, do everything for me, get a mani pedi and get some food in, delivered and just kick it watching my shows. And I don't want to be bothered driving around doing all this for you and not even, you know, not, how can I say it? Not even feel the gratitude, because sometimes you have to feel that, right? You have to feel that they're grateful that you did this for them, and you don't get that in return. So before, I will say yes to everything. Once I found my voice and I was able to say, you know what, I could but I don't want to, and that no word actually got into my vocabulary, oh my God, I was in heaven. Yes. Nope, don't want to, not doing it, that's it.
Mhm. It
And I
is
don't
empowering.
care how I feel. And I don't care if I'm the worst person in this world. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. The best part is when you can say no without guilt. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
It
Yes.
was so empowering to me because in the beginning, like when you just start finding your voice, you're like,
I'm so,
you're like saying it like a mouse. No, maybe. Uh, I don't think so. But then you're like, no, I'm not going to. Why? Because I said so.
it's because it's, yeah, exactly. Give me 1 second, Miss Marlene.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I want to highlight a comment here. Manifest Reality says, this is why I say daily desire, and many can make many excuses. If one has no or low income, services are available through Zoom or in person. Yeah, it's something that we each have to do every day. And like I've said many times, that trauma, when trauma happens to you, it's not like, oh, it happened one time and after that you'll be okay. It comes at you at your moment, like you're, maybe you smell something, or you look at somebody, or you see somebody that reminds you of that person that traumatized you, or it's the anniversary of something, or something can trigger you in back into that trauma all over again, or a person's behavior can remind you of that person, that can trigger you back into reminding you of whatever happened that hurt you and brought you so much pain. So I like that you said that, manifest reality, it is something, a daily desire.
Mm,
It's something that
yes.
you have to work on every day. It has to be something you desire. And one of the things that helped me so much when I went through therapy, Miss Nexie, was when my therapist helped me to find my own personal mantra, my own personal affirmation. And people just don't understand how your own personal affirmation will get you through. And it took me a long time to find mine, but mine was, I have the divine right to have peace. I have the divine right to be myself. I have the divine right to be happy.
Exactly. And
Divine
that
right.
that's a beautiful mantra, Miss Marlene.
Thank you, Miss Nexie.
It took me a long time to get there. Again, it's, the fact that you're supposed to take care of everyone, right? And this again is the same when you have been um, neglected in some way, um, and abused in others, and you have again, everybody feels differently, right? My older sister probably doesn't, hone into, for her it's probably not a big deal if somebody says something diminishing to her, or somebody doesn't include her, or she doesn't feel any kind of way, right? But I may get hurt if you don't include me, or if you say something about me or something to me. So we all process different, right? We are both sisters, but we are different, as I was saying in the beginning. So for me, I always felt that to be loved, to be liked, to be needed, to be wanted, I had to say yes to everything, right? And
Yeah,
again, it was that abandonment, Miss Marlene, as you said in the beginning, that abandonment issue that I didn't know I had the fear of, but I did have, right? But I wasn't acknowledging that that's why I was overdoing everything, because I wanted everybody to feel what I didn't feel like as a child. Like I wanted them to know that I loved them. I wanted them to know that I was there for them. I didn't want them to feel the way I felt. But by doing that, sometimes when you overdo things for people, including your children, including my children, and family members, and spouses included, on my side, I'm talking about me. When you overdo things, you become they become so used to that, you do it so often and so much that you don't give them a chance to miss if you don't, if you're not there, all these things that you do are not going to be done. So what's going to happen if she's not there? You're so available and so there that they don't appreciate it because they don't miss it. They don't know what it is without that. It's going to be without you doing all this for them. Sometimes it's in occasions you got to say, you know what, I can't. Oh, I'm available. I don't want to, whatever. They start missing that and say, oh my God, she did all this for us. She didn't have to. But people sometimes don't appreciate it because you're so always willing and overdoing that they don't develop that appreciation of, oh my gosh, she's always there for us. Look at it now. She can't or she doesn't want to, but she has always been there. We never knew how much we needed this or how much she was doing for us or he was doing for us, because, we weren't giving people the chance to miss that and appreciate what we're doing. I don't know if it makes sense, but that's
Yeah,
how I dealt.
Miss Nexie, that makes a lot of sense because I too overcompensated for voids because I didn't get love in certain ways, or the things that I didn't receive and the things that I needed as a little girl or as a young woman or a woman. I make sure I overdid that for the people that I love.
Hmm.
I was like always like, I love you, I love you. Yeah, trying, always giving hugs, like I was smothering people. And everybody was like, what is like literally wrong with you? Because it's like I always like my friends, what are you doing, what are you doing, what are you doing, hey, you want to hang out, you want to go here, you want to do that. It was too much because I turned from being very ice cold to overdoing it when I learned about like how you should be and how you should treat people. I felt so bad that I never wanted to make anybody else in my life feel unloved around me. That I
Yeah, you're
overcompensated.
overcompensating.
Yeah.
No, my husband did a double take the day that I said, can you do this for me? I can't, but I don't want to. He, he turned around and looked in disbelief. Like, did I just hear those words coming out of Miss Willing and Ready all the time? Did I just hear, yeah, I can, but I don't want to? Did she just say no to someone? And he touched my forehead. Are you feeling okay?
Yes.
And I said, yes, I am. And they're like, oh, okay. So can you or not? No, I said, I just told you. Yes, I can, but I don't want to. I got plans for myself tomorrow or, and whatever it is that you need this. I can't. So now what I tell people when they're like, hey, we want to, I was going to ask you for a favor. I said, I'm going to be sick that day. But I haven't even told you what day. Yeah, but I already feel that the date that you pick, I'm going to be really sick that day. I can feel it coming. The minute you say Thursday, that's when the fever's going to start.
I was like, oh
The
man.
palpitations,
Yeah.
my tonsils.
You know what mine is? When people will say, ask me stuff, and they say, and before they even get asked, nope, I'm busy. I was like, you don't even know what I was about to ask you. I said, I'm busy. I said, busy doing what? Busy doing whatever it is I'm going to do on that day because I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm gonna be sick. And they're like, how? That doesn't make sense. It makes sense to me. So if it doesn't make sense to you, that's a you problem.
Oh,
But Miss Marlene, when I started doing that, I felt this empowerment. The first few times, Miss Marlene, is the guilt. What am I doing? I'm pushing people away. Oh my God, they're never gonna ask me for a favor again because I've been, maybe I should do it. And the first times was very, very hard in the very beginning of doing this. But once I dealt with it and I started seeing that, hey, I have more money, I have more time. These people, if they didn't need anything, they don't call me anyway. Like I started seeing the pattern. They only call me when they need me. They're only nice to me because they're gonna need something in the future. The minute I started not being so willing and so available and so giving, the true faces started coming out. Once I started seeing all of that, oh, that was it. Now it's like they don't even ask me for anything, and I still get the same faces. So I'm like, so I was doing something for nothing.
so you are winning. You're winning actually.
Oh, trust me. I'm like, my bank account is nice and chunky. It's really, really like it's formed me into a little piggy bank.
Yeah, like
It has little legs, little stubby legs and everything.
isn't that
And I have the
crazy?
time of my life. I'm by myself. I have money in the bank if I ever need it for anything. I have savings, which is something that is when you're the yes, of course, willy nilly. You never have money. You're always short at the end of the month, and nobody cares and nobody helps.
Nope,
So
because they're
now I'm like,
promising you and promising you that they'll give it back to you, and you never get it back.
and again, those are the tools, because this is something that my therapist, when he confronted me, because that's what I told him. I said, "You're confronting me." When he said, "Why can't you say no?" And I was like, "Oh, what?" I looked at him like, "What do you? That's family." He's like, "And are their arms gonna fall off? Are they gonna stop being family if you say no? I can't, or I'm not willing, or I cannot afford it, or you know." um, don't volunteer. And I'll be like, that's family. That's my best friend's kid, or that's my best friend's mom, or that, you know what I mean? Like when you start going, and he confronted me like, okay, do you have to? Like what happens? And I was like, are you confronting me? Because I mean, this is my family. And he's like, yeah, but are you the only member of that family? Do they have any other people they can go to? Are you the one holding the entire family? You know, if you let go, they will fall down and everybody will scatter around. What's going to happen if you say no? And I'm like, I don't know. I have never thought about saying no. Like, no, I can't do that. And he's like, try it. Try it one day and see what happens. And I did. And I booked the session. Oh my God, I actually said, no, I feel this, I feel that. He's like, calm down, calm down, calm down. Okay, tell me what happened. And I tell him, this is how I feel. And I think I'm being the worst aunt in the world. And I'm not helping. And I'm not. And okay, calm down. Why are you feeling that way? Well, because, it's like, okay, is that child okay? Yes. Are his parents okay? Yes. Did anything happen besides when you said no? Did the earth shook?
Yeah, did the
did
ground
any
open and
yeah, did any bridges fall down? Were there any cosmic crashes? No. Okay, you said no. Okay, let's work on that. Okay, you say no this time. Okay, let's continue on. Let's talk about it. And we did a few more sessions, and then, you know, something else happened, and I was like, I don't know if I can't. I didn't say no, but I said I don't know if I can, and I said, this is happening. But the feelings, Miss Marlene, that I would that fear that they were not gonna love me anymore, they were not gonna like me anymore, because I was using the tools from my therapist, was making me want to quit therapy, because I was thinking that he was giving me the wrong advice. That's what I thought. Even though therapists don't advise you, they talk to you, and you know what I mean? You come up with your own.
you have to make the choice on your own.
Yes, you get your own advice. They don't tell you what to do. They don't. They're there to listen and to guide you. You right on your thoughts and your fears and this and the things that you can do to work those things out. They don't tell you go tell every member of your family to go fly a kite, even though I'm sure they want to sometimes. No, but
Even though you want to.
that they want to. They're like, oh my God, I wish I could go tell so and so to just go fly a darn kite. But they don't. They just help you work the things that are already inside of you. They help them come out. They polish them with you, with the things that you talk about, with their tools, and and that's the thing. Once I started, feeling weird, I wanted to quit. I was like, maybe this is not for me. Maybe this is just going to make me a selfish this is what I was thinking, Miss Marlene. This therapy is probably making me a selfish person that says no to everything, and I'm not like gonna be part of this family, because now I said no. Like I've never said no before, but I continue on because it was part of, it was a requirement. It wasn't something that I could just give up on,
Just drop
right?
out.
yeah, drop out of. I cannot give up on that because then I'll be giving up to the entire, my schooling. So I was like, no, I have to do this. So the more I stuck to it and the more I started polishing my brain, my ideas, putting them in the right place, because I had to do that, not my therapist. That was me. Because you have to go at your own pace, right? You have to go and organize your thoughts so you can see things clearly. But that work is done by you, not by your therapist. He helps you or she helps you get there, but the work is done through you. So once I got that going and I learned that, the sky didn't fall the next day after I said no. And then the third, fourth time that I said no, I can't. I don't have any money. You know, um, everyone was okay in my family. I went outside and I didn't get hit by lightning or a car. So once I started seeing that that wasn't a sin on my part, and that I was okay, and that it's okay sometimes to say no to people, even if you love them dearly, because sometimes you enable them to continue be irresponsible and stuff like that. So you're
Yeah.
making more, you know what I mean? You're damaging more than you're helping. Once I started listening to my inner me and working on all of that, it was so much easier to say, yeah, no, yeah, I can, but I won't because I don't want to. I don't feel like it today. Or, nope, I'm not answering the phone. That was another thing. So once I did that, with all because it took a lot for me to do that, I started becoming, Miss Marlene, a happier person, a less nervous person, a less anxious person. It was so weird. It was so weird. So
Yes,
weird.
it's so true, Miss Nexie, because I found when I started wanting to trauma heal, there's four things that I needed to do. And the first one was being mindful of what happened to me, and demonstrating some techniques to help me to push through that, because when you're going through the trauma, or when it comes back to your mind, you need to have some techniques to help you, like deep breathing, get having an exercise routine, because you got to get that stress and that anxiety out. And that's why being mindful of your mental health, being mindful of maybe some physical shifts in your body, like you're feeling sick, drained, worn down. The body has a way of doing things to self protect us. When we're not protecting our bodies is going to do something. If, okay, you're not going to do anything, okay, I'm going to shut you down, I'm going to give you this illness, I'm going to do this to you until you slow down enough to take care of yourself. So that power of mindfulness is so important in helping us to trauma heal. You have to recognize that I'm an important individual, and I deserve to heal and be a better me. And the
Hmm.
next one is embracing self compassion, because if we are not compassionate to ourselves, and that's why embracing self compassion. The problem with many of us is we're such good people, kind human beings, loving women or men, and people take advantage of us. And there are times, especially with trauma, that you need to have compassion for yourself and display kindness, learning to slow down, learning to value yourself and what you're dealing with and going through, and acknowledging it, and going through journaling and all the things that you need to do to show that you are valid and important. And I think it was those two steps that helped me so much in trauma healing, under recognizing that this happened to me, and then doing something to help myself. And when I was down that rabbit hole, Miss Nexie and Chad and anybody listening in the replay, when I was down in that rabbit hole, I thought that there was no hope. Like all I could see was pain and hurt and struggle. I didn't think that anything could help me until I discovered therapy.
Exactly. Sometimes we don't even know how much we need it, how much we are in in the want of that healing. We don't appreciate it. I feel that sometimes we don't appreciate um, the our body's telling us you need this, you have to do this for you, whatever you do, you have to help yourself. I think sometimes we don't listen to our bodies when it's asking, it's screaming at us that it needs this particular, healing in us. We don't listen to it. I
Yep,
feel that that's what it is. Sometimes we don't listen to our bodies, we don't listen to our minds, we don't listen to our needs and wants. We just go with the flow
yep.
and
We
continue to feel unwell, feel sick, feel all kinds of ways because we don't want to deal with the reality that it is that we are not well, that we are sick in a different way, not a disease or anything, just a different way of sickness.
yeah,
That maybe that body ache is because you're so stressed out, controlling your mind, your everything, that you're feeling pain on your legs or this and that, and you cannot sleep. There's so many ways that our bodies tell us there's something wrong with us, and it doesn't necessarily mean um, uh, cancer or anything like that. It just means
it means
you're not
slow.
well in your mind, you're overworking it, and
Yeah,
yeah, it slow down, and maybe your heart, is aching so much. You need that type of help.
yep. Or
You don't need medicine.
or maybe you need to face
Hmm.
this and cry your eyes out or scream at the top of your lungs, but just holding it inside is not working. And I know for many of us, we hold things inside because many of us have to be the strong person. Like you're a person that everybody leans on you, everybody is depending
Hmm.
on you. And especially in those cases where people are depending on you, you need to take even more care of yourself because other people need you. But before everybody else, I had to learn this part. I need myself.
You need to take care of you first so that you
Mhm.
can be the best caregiver for everybody else, and that they can learn from the fact that you had to heal you first, take care of you first, and that they're getting help from the best person that has become you.
And that's something that I had to learn, Miss Nexie, about self compassion, is that other people cannot love me until I can love me. And that was
Exactly.
something that I had to put my own put my put my own self in timeout. It's like, I'm sorry, I got to shut myself off from everybody else to self protect and to self heal. And, make sure you're taking time in those moments. If you need to cry, if you need to shut off your computer, off your phone, if you need a vacation or rest, whatever it is. People will say, oh, I can't afford to take a vacation. I can't afford to rest. I got too much responsibilities. Okay, if you keep stressing out your body, and like I hate to say it like this, but you won't be here if you keep allowing everything and making excuses. There's nothing that should be more important than you. That's something uh that's something that I definitely had to learn. There's nobody that is more important than you are. Absolutely nobody. And we have two more points. The third one is seeking support. So make sure you're finding any support that you need. I'm always going to recommend professional help. I'm also going to recommend support groups, having accountability partners, good friends, coaches, therapists, accountability partners, good friends, loved ones, and getting into doing something that gives your life meaning. That's very important in this life. Doing something that is fulfilling, something that is your passion in life. And the last point is sustaining your journey, because if you have to continue in this life, like you can go through your life or you can live your life. And if you don't work on fixing and healing yourself, you're not going to be able to sustain and continue. So you have to take time for your self care, self reflection, and celebrate your progress. Of, I'm doing better at this, and what else do I need to do so that I can be a better, healed, happy me. And then
Exactly.
there's the to sustain it, you need these things like your support group, your spirituality, your own personal thing that you do. Finding a life mission. You got to have a purpose outside of the people that you love. You have to find things that's outside of everybody that is just yours.
Exactly, Miss Marlene. And a lot of times, and I'm sorry I had to switch my devices, Miss Marlene, because the other one was completely drained out. I was like, oh my God, I gotta go before it kicks me out. But the one of the hardest things for me, um, I think is because I felt that I was being selfish, Miss Marlene. I think that one of the hardest things for me is was to put myself first. It was and it still sometimes is a struggle to make sure that I am okay, to make sure that I am doing the things that I enjoy, that I want to do, even if I have to do them solo because you know my kids can't, or sometimes my best friends can't do it. Sometimes my sisters are busy or whatever. Even if I have to do it by myself, or they don't want to do it because they don't like what I'm doing, like they don't feel any joy, or they're like, that's not for me. So I had to because I will use that. Oh, they don't want to. Okay, then you know what? It's okay. I won't do it because that reaffirmed in my head that I was being selfish, right? If my sister doesn't want to go, then maybe it's a sign that I've been selfish and I shouldn't be doing this, right? Because it's just for me. I've been selfish. So one of the hardest things for me, Miss Marlene, as I've healed, it's still, again, still in the back of my mind, but I don't pay him any mind. I just like, okay, whatever. Your thought you're there. Yeah, I'm selfish. Whatever. I'm enjoying my selfish self. I don't do it. I don't cancel things that I enjoy, or I don't stop doing the things that I enjoy because of the feeling that I'm being selfish anymore. I am out there living life because I stopped myself from doing that for so many years because I was being a mom, I was a wife, I was working, I was raising kids, I was doing all these things, being an auntie, a sister, I was doing so many other things, but I wasn't doing the one thing that has brought me the most peace and that was gonna bring me the most joy. I wasn't taking care of me. I wasn't being selfish for me, for my well being, for my health and peace of mind, for my peaceful heart. I was doing everything just going with the flow and thinking that that was making me happy. I had to get out of that bubble and say, you know what? You don't want to do it because you don't like it. You can. I want to do it because I like it. And I think that's going to bring me a lot of joy and happiness. And it makes me feel good. And if affects people in whatever way, as long as I'm not affecting them financially, I'm okay with that. But this is what I want to do because I want to live this way now. I before, remember, we talked about treating yourself out to a good restaurant by yourself, going to a movie by yourself,
Yep.
going on a trip by yourself, booking a trip. Oh, I don't want to go there. Then you stay. I want to go there. So doing that, Miss Marlene, putting me first to live my life, okay? Because it's our life. To live my life the way I want it, it has been a challenge, but a beautiful, rewarding, and amazing journey for me.
Yes. I couldn't have said it. I couldn't have said any of that any better. And also, I want to say this comment here: self love is not selfish, and we must take care of our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and financial health and well being, and not put others above us.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us do that, thinking about, kids, spouse, this person, that person, a job. You're putting everybody above you. And that is the reason why you are struggling so much, because just carrying the weight of a trauma is enough. But when you are putting other people in front of you, and you're not giving yourself the room to grow, to heal, to have peace, and, you got to have those moments. Don't let anybody take you away. And you have to enforce that with other people. When you say you're going to do something, don't let other people infringe their beliefs on you. You have to know what you want to do. And if other people
Yes.
don't like it, that's their problem. It's not your problem.
And that's when a lot of people, that are not healthy, Miss Marlene, and I'm sorry, I don't want to disrespect anyone. It's my thought. It's not Miss Marlene's. It's nobody. But I feel that when people make you feel bad because you're choosing to do certain things on your own, and they're saying, what about your family? I feel that people like that sometimes haven't healed, haven't dealt with their traumas. They haven't um, started to lead their own lives the way they want them. They want it. I feel that people that tell you you've been selfish, what if something happens to you on your way there without your family? What if something happens to me on my way to work without my family? I do that every day, right? I feel the people that guilt you into um, being the best that you can be, and trick you into feeling that you're being selfish. I feel that people like that don't have your best interest at heart, because as long as, again, you're not harming anyone financially, emotionally, in any other way that I cannot think of right now, I feel that doing things for you, and when I love someone, when I see them doing things for them, my heart rejoices, and I'm overjoyed that this person is actually finally taking themselves, and doing something beautiful for them. And I'm like, yes, she's going on her own to get her nails
Yes.
done.
You're like,
There,
finally.
yes, finally you're loving yourself, because that's the one thing that people don't understand. When you do things, when you gift yourself that expensive cup of coffee that you would have never done that before, because you would have thought, oh my god, I'm paying $10, I could have gotten one at so and so restaurant for two. What if my kids ever need this money? Or what if so and so ever needs this money and I'm spending it on this coffee? You know what I mean? Now I say to myself, yeah, it's 10, $12, but you know what? It's for me. My belly's gonna be happy, and I've earned that money. And if somebody ever needs it, I'll find a way to get it. But you know what? I'm having that coffee because my beautiful self, wants it. Getting to this,
Yeah.
it's someone that I sometimes don't recognize on that mirror. I'm like, wow, look at how far you've gone. Look at how far
Yeah.
you've gotten, Missy, from your shy, self-centered, um, because I was a little bit self-centered. So it was all about, am I doing this? Am I doing that? It was all about me. Am I? From that person to, I don't care. I'm gonna enjoy being me. From that person to what I am today. Oh my God, Miss Marlene. It's
Yeah.
it's a
I
360. It's
know.
not a 180. It's a 360. It's a new person.
So true, because I put the comment in the chat. People want to make you feel guilty as a control mechanism.
Yes.
They want to control you. And what it is I learned, I had a really great therapist, and she told me that a lot of people don't like the fact that you're in therapy, because now you can recognize their controlling behaviors. Now they know that they're going to be accountable for their actions. now that they know they can't play mind games with you,
Mm-hmm.
that's why people don't want to. That's why they discourage you from improving, being better, becoming independent, and working on yourself, because most of the time you won't be around them anymore. You're going to leave that toxic relationship. You're not going to do the things that they want. You're not going to let people drag you down with their low self esteem, because you'll have your own self esteem and your own goals in your life, and you know your own worth. And that is what a lot of people don't like, and why people will tell you don't go to therapy, because now they can't control you and use you. Because before, when you were on that mode of being dependent on them for your love, and now you're independent, because it's nice to have love, but I don't need your love because I have my own. It's
Mm-hmm.
two different lives.
Exactly. And that's the whole point. I have had people, friends, and family members say, oh, no, as a mother, I will never do that. Like, I will never go on a 3-day trip by myself and leave my kids behind. Like, I will never. And I say, that's okay. That's good for you. If you will never do that, then that means you are working on you. That means you are not comfortable doing that. That means you're still thinking about you. Even though you're not taking that trip, you're doing it because it makes you feel better. So this trip that I'm taking, or this thing that I'm doing for me, again, I'm like you, I'm doing it for me. It makes me feel good. So I turn it around to say, yes, you can think like that, but you're still thinking about you, which is what I'm doing. I'm thinking about me. I'm going to have mani pedi, even though I don't need it right now, but I want it. I want to feel my nails beautiful again. I want to get my feet rubbed. I want to feel that little spa on my feet right now. That's what I want. So I get it done. As
Exactly.
before, oh, I'm gonna take that hour for me, and I'm not gonna be there, with the kids, just sitting there waiting for them or whatever. I'm gonna do that for me. She was trying to guilt me into it. Before, she probably would have succeeded. Now I said, no, that's okay. He's sitting there. He's fine. I'll be back in an hour. Bye. But
Exactly.
you have to love yourself. You have to use every tool available to make your body, your mind, your overall self healthier, more positive for you. You cannot do this for anybody else, Miss Marlene. Okay, I
It has
cannot
to be for
be who
you.
I am for my kids. I cannot be who I'm becoming for my spouse. I cannot be who I'm becoming so that I can please so and so. No, 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 no. I'm doing this for a better me. I'm doing this so that in the future I don't have heart problems. I'm doing this so in the future I don't have any other ailments, because I was so obsessed taking care of everybody else that I forgot to take care of the most important person, which is me.
Yeah.
And if that makes me selfish in the eyes of other people because I'm trying to keep my body and mind healthy, then so be it. It's for me anyway.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you should never live with regret. And I know for many years of my life, I have so much regret because I didn't speak up for myself. And there's certain things that I wanted to do, but I didn't have enough willpower or feeling enough confidence, or letting guilt trip me up by because somebody said I shouldn't do that, or it wouldn't work, and that's not good.
Hmm.
Eventually, one day, when you get strong enough, powerful, empowered, loving yourself, knowing that you deserve better, you're going to make those sacrifices. This is just for me. This is my time to get healthy mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And I deserve to be free of it. I don't have to carry this heavy weight and burden like I used to. And I want
Exactly.
that for every single person who comes to my channel. I want to empower the minds and the hearts of all of my loved ones and let you all know that. anything that ever happened to you in your life that was traumatic, any person who abandoned you, took advantage of you, hurt you, brought you pain in your life, you deserve to be free from that and not carry that weight on your back, on your head, and make you feel less than because of what somebody else did. You have to let that go.
Yeah, exactly. Amen to that, Miss Marlene. That's exactly right. You cannot allow people to win over you. You can't.
Okay.
You're the only person that can make a difference in you. You cannot make a difference on other people. You cannot change their mind the way they are. You cannot do any of that. And if your purpose of, I'm going to get therapy so that I can influence, right, everybody in my household, and I'm going to change them, and you can't do that for that purpose. Yes, you changing the way that you are, that you think, that you will rub off on them, but it's not going to make a difference to them, because if you're doing it for that purpose, then you're not going to be able to get the full advantage, the full glory of going to therapy for you, because you're trying and it's not going to work because you're trying for somebody else. It has to be tried for you if therapy is what you choose to do.
Yep.
I'm not telling you to go get therapy. We're not here for that, right? We're just
Mhm.
saying what therapy did for us. But if you're going to do it so that you can please everybody else, it's not going to work. It has to be
Yep.
done so that you can please you, so you can become a better you. Because when you do things just so that others can be okay with it, a job, a career, nothing like that has ever worked. It
Yep.
makes you miserable because you're doing it because somebody else wanted you to do that, right?
Because you have
You
to.
have to, and somebody else expected you to do that, and somebody else said that you should. You have to do this because it's what you want to do for you. Because therapy at the end and in the long run, it benefits only you, because you're the one who put the hard work. You're the one who did everything that you were supposed to do. So it benefits you at 100%. And part of it, 50, 40, 60, can rub off on everybody else around you because they see a different person, a
I,
happier person, a more secure person, a more lively person, right? So,
yep.
but it has to be done for you, and everything that you do has to be for the better of you.
And Miss Nexie, you know that I always say that about this channel, that when you learn to love yourself better, it trickles down to every single human being you encounter. So if you're not in a space of love and peace, if you're in a space of anger, guess what? Everything that trickles forth from you is going to be anger.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have peace, if you have love, if you have freedom, if you are restored and you're empowered, if you're feeling good about yourself, I'm telling you, everybody around you will be impacted by your empowerment, by your
Mm-hmm.
love, by your healing. And
Yes.
that's the reason why we do these sip and chats and discussions, because I never want anybody, in the entire world to carry around the weight of blaming themselves for what somebody did to them. You don't deserve that. You didn't deserve it. And some people don't ever deserve to be in your life, but we have to make certain choices. Every single person has choices to make every day. And one choice that we have to make is a choice to choose ourselves and a choice to choose to be happy.
Yeah. Oh, God, I couldn't have said that better myself.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am. Every day, it's a you day. It's a
every
me
day.
day,
Mhm.
right? Every day you get up is, I am going to do this today. It's not, it shouldn't be a, oh my God, I have to do this because so and so needed me to do this. And I guess I have to do. No, it has to be a, whatever you choose to do that day, it should be thinking about how it's going to make you feel, not how it's going to come out on that other person's end. It's going to be how you feel. If You know that you're gonna have to take an extra hour to get ready for something that you have chosen to do, then you do that. But if you have to take care 2 hours to get better for something that you're gonna do for somebody else, it doesn't come out the same way. You're not thinking about you. You know what I mean? Like, I sometimes I know that I have to do things for others. I know that. I'm not selfish like that. I know. But I choose what it's gonna make me feel good doing for someone, not what makes me feel like I have to do it for someone. So the choice is mine, and that is the one thing that I learned in therapy, is that I choose what comes out from me to others, whether it is respect, whether it's kindness, whether it is financial help, whether it is my time, right? I choose to do that for others. So, therapy, my therapist always said in therapy, choose wisely. Put
Yeah,
yourself first on everything you do, and everything will be okay. Choose you one day and say, I want to do this today, and tell me what happens when you choose that day. And that's how I got to, putting myself first. And I don't mean that I don't care about my children, my siblings, my husband or whatever. No, it meant that I care for me a little bit more because I'm the one leading my own life and living my life. They're not doing it for me, right? So that was one of the things that I actually became very, and I have become very good at, is that I don't do things I don't want to. I choose the type of work I want to work in over what everybody else expected, right? I do things and stay in places where I feel good being there. If I don't feel good, if I don't feel comfortable, I quit that place. That does that make me a quitter? No, it makes me someone that thinks about how I am reacting to my environment and taking care of my overall health. It makes me someone that loves me, not someone that should
exactly.
be guilted into the choices that she has is making or that she has made.
Exactly, Miss Nancy. I couldn't have said it any better myself. I feel like this was an amazing sip of chat. You know, we could keep talking for another hour. It's already 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. My Tom is telling me, okay, is she gonna bring us food? Did she order our sushi? What's gonna happen here? No, Miss Marlene, we could talk all day about this. We can talk all day about how good our life is, and that doesn't mean, Miss Marlene, that we don't have problems. We do, we do. We have everybody else's same kind of problems, right? With the family, with the kids, with the significant others, with work. We do, but we choose to celebrate the reaction we have to all those things before turning them into something that is depressing to us. So we do have a normal life, but we choose to talk about how great our choices have made a difference in our lives now.
Yeah, instead of being negative,
Yeah,
instead of being a complainer,
yeah.
now we've shifted that because it is a heavy weight, and I understand why people complain about it because they have pain and hurt in their heart, but
Hmm.
it's all about what you do with that pain, and I choose to take my pain and put it into my passion and giving back, but also using what I have and helping myself and reminding myself of how strong I am and how proud I am of myself and how proud I am of everybody who continues on after trauma. Like, I'm proud of every single one of you, and I know that it's not easy.
It's
And
not.
sometimes we don't get those accolades from other people in our life. They feel like, oh, what is it, what's a big deal, like, oh, things like that happen to everybody. Well, it happened to me, and I'm still here, and I'm glad you guys keep fighting and keep continue on and never give up.
Never. Never, never. It's been a wonderful sipping chat, Miss Marlene. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me
thank
always. Thank you
you.
for, what you do for others in this platform, and continue to bring great topics, great conversations. It's
Yes.
always healing to have a platform where you can, put your thoughts either, in our chat, or, when you have people over discussing them. And it always makes a big difference. You always help somebody with your story. That's the one thing that, I always have in mind, is that I can always help somebody else with what I went through, what happened
Yeah.
to me, and the way that I overcame it. So I thank you very much for giving me space in your platform. And thank you, everybody, for showing support to Miss Marlene. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. And thank you for having me again, Miss Marlene.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you're new here, welcome to my little space of the YouTube universe. I hope you all come back. And if you're watching in the replay, leave me a comment below. This is Love Marlene 411, your channel for all of the love things. Because when we learn to love ourselves better, it trickles down to all of the other relationships that we have. So keep loving yourself first, and then you can love everybody else. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Miss Nexie, and everybody in the chat. Shout out to the mods and the channel members. And me and Miss Nexie will see you all back next week.
Yes, we will. Thank you. And bye, everyone.
Bye,
Have a wonderful
everybody.
weekend.
Have a great weekend.